You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Comic Book News Show, where I'm going to have some DC and Marvel items for you. We're going to kick this right off with the DC side of things. DC debuts Superman's Batman White Knight costume. Pretty cool. I enjoyed the first White Knight. I ended up kind of tailing off at the end of The Curse of the White Knight, and I have not read the recent iteration. I have decided that I will read it in trade when it is done because we stopped reviewing it on the podcast. So here is the news item, which is pretty cool to see a Superman in the Murphyverse. And it says, Superman makes his first appearance in Sean Gordon Murphy's Murphyverse with Batman Beyond the White Knight, number 8. A variant cover was revealed on social media, and while Beyond the White Knight number 8 might be the finale of Murphy's trilogy, the official Batman account pointed out that, quote, this issue is available at your local comic book shop on February 14th. That's nice of them to let us know that. But also, this isn't the end, which is pretty cool for Murphyverse fans. Now, we may end up getting a just Superman book. We'll see what happens with all of that. Superman in this cover, he looks younger. He has a bit of the trunks there, no belt. But when people started seeing this, they questioned of whether or not this was Clark or maybe Jon Kent. Murphy explained that the Superman shown was, quote, not Jon Kent. So he's at least verifying that. And I don't know, that doesn't make a difference to me, really, because it is a different Elseworlds Murphyverse type deal, but I think he would go classic. So that's something to grab issue number 8 for, but also to look forward to something coming up from Sean Gordon Murphy. I know that he has plenty of fans. The next story, plenty of fans out there as well for the Poison Ivies, right? Everybody loves the Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is now and ongoing. I've talked about it on our podcast a bunch of times. My wife is allergic to poison ivy. She gets it like really, really bad things. I've never gotten poison ivy in my life. When I say gotten poison ivy, you know what I mean. I've never gotten the poison ivy rash, whatnot. I have walked through, big yards of poison ivy, things like that. I don't know what it is. I guess that I'm immune to the poison ivy. I'm also immune to liking this book. Right? Because I'm not really enjoying it. And I ended up not minding the Poison Ivy book at the beginning just because it was doing something different and interesting. And then when it got extended from 6 issues to 12, I kind of stepped back and lost track of what it was already starting to do. Now that it's going from 12 to an ongoing, I think it's happening again. This book has the worst issue-to-issue pacing and storytelling that I've seen. It's up and down and all around. I don't get it, but it's going to be an ongoing, and I think it's more for Poison Ivy fans than it would be for me. But here is the story starting with June 6th, Poison Ivy number 13 by writer G. Willow Wilson and artist Marcelo Takara. The series will go full ongoing, and from the looks of things, Ivy is heading back to Gotham City for a reunion with her on-again, off-again lover and best friend Harley Quinn. Now, the issue 9 that just came out last week, Harley was in that issue, so you already had that. Now we're pushing that she's going back to Gotham to be with Harley. If you're going to have a book that's going to go ongoing because hopefully the strength of the story and the character, you don't have to keep throwing Harley in there because you got to this place with Harley only being in the last issue. So come on. Also, going back to Gotham to me is a misplay. I like this road trip type deal. Getting her out of Gotham gives all the focus on her. But it just seems as if, as I said, this book keeps going one step forward, 2 steps back. Hey, we're going to have this story, but now we're going to pull that back and make it a different story. And what we have right now with that issue number 9 with Harley was really almost a one-shot that had no storytelling whatsoever except, hey, Poison Ivy and Harley. But the story leading from that 7-8 to this, it's a convoluted mess in my mind. But here is the quote from DC to push this and what the whole series will be once we get back to Gotham, I guess. There sure is nothing quite like a romantic night with your sweetie in the swamp. to make your mouth water, reads DC's official description of Poison Ivy number 13. It's the dawn of a new day as Pamela Isley makes a return to Harley and Gotham City with a love-struck Janet from HR. You know, that great character, Janet from HR. Not a great character. I was joking. In a tow. The tension's so thick, you could cut it with a fan boat's propeller. Oh, my God, that doesn't make sense. Went from 6 to 12, now and ongoing. There you go. You have Poison Ivy. I'm sure Poison Ivy fans are rejoicing as much as they like this book. I've seen even Poison Ivy fans not digging it so much, but enough people are buying it. Sales have been pretty good that you keep getting it extended. I think now that we're at the point where what else can happen after this? Well, I'll tell you, I think it gets canceled before issue 20, but that's me. That's just me. Here's the next story. Jon Kent takes on the Injustice universe this March. And I know that a lot of people are down on Tom Taylor lately. I love the Injustice book, at least the stuff he did. Once Brian Buccellato jumped on, then it felt like it already had gone on too far and too long at that point anyway. But the Tom Taylor stuff, and I know that some people hate it, and they'll get on. I fought with some people on Twitter about that, the idea they don't like an evil Superman. Some of those people I don't think actually read the book and realized that it is about what led him to that. And it's not just, oh my God, Joker killed Lois who was pregnant and I'm evil. There were parts in that where he could have pulled it back. He could have realized what he was doing, but he kind of got in too deep. It almost was a book that was about like the choices you make and how they affect going forward, how you really end up doing things that you know are wrong and not wanting to do them, but you're kind of caught in that situation. And really, it's a lot of problems were with not Superman, but Wonder Woman whispering in Superman's ear. Also, Batman not really trying to help his friend, but just full out against him. There was a lot of things that I liked. Some people don't like it. That's up to them. But we're going to have Jon Kent go into the Injustice universe, which is now a Earth. It's now an Earth in the multiverse. This ended up happening when we saw the Dark Crisis Big Bang by Mark Waid. So once you put it in the multiverse, you're going to end up going to it eventually. So here you go. Who better to go than Tom Taylor? Tom Taylor and artist Clayton Henry return to one of Taylor's other big comic book sagas, that of Injustice Gods Among Us, to combine two of his biggest DC works to date. Now, I wouldn't say Jon Kent's a big work, but it's okay. An adventure of Superman Jon Kent. Jon must find his way through the multiverse after a conflict with his old rival, Ultraman. I wouldn't call him an old rival. Ultraman to Jon is like an old, he kidnapped me, tortured me, and took away every DC fan's hopes and dreams. That's what I think. I think Ultraman's more of a rival to everybody at DC reading the books than Jon. To Jon, that is your abuser, your captor, that sort of thing. Rival kind of lessens it a bit, eventually ending up in the reality of Injustice, where he'll encounter a world torn apart by an evil Superman. Quote from Tom Taylor: "Injustice for me is a very troubled time," he says. "I had so much fun on that book. Obviously, I was on it for years. I think I was originally hired for 15 chapters, and I wrote over 150. But there's a lot about Injustice that rubs me the wrong way." Thanks a lot, Tom Taylor. Thanks for fueling the hate. You're just fueling the haters there. And now it's one of those things. Was he born again in a socially woke way? Is that what it was? Was he writing comics and then suddenly he had an epiphany and he's like, oh my goodness, I gotta end up being the socially relevant guy in the headlines? Because I don't get it. Just write your comics. I used to applaud Tom Taylor because I thought that at one point he was the writer who just wanted to write comics. I said, he doesn't seem to want to be fancy. He's not trying to get invited to fancy dinner parties like a Tom King with his nonsense where people read it and the big players, this is more mature than the regular comic books. No, I just want comic books, and that's what Tom Taylor was giving me at one point. Why, Tom? Why are you dissing me? Taylor tells DC about his return to Injustice. I don't believe Superman, no matter what happens to him, can become that person. Well, you know what? I did. It was one bad day. I don't believe Wonder Woman becomes that person. Well, Taylor continues. So it's almost like he's saying this just to make me look like an asshole. Tom Taylor continues. So for me, it's a really interesting Elseworld. Really? You just said it can't happen. And throwing Jon Kent as sort of the beacon of hope in a way, quite an innocent character and a character who wants the best for the world, throwing him into that world where his father has become a dictator, gives us so much to play with. Now, the big play here, which I actually was a bit excited. I don't know that I need to go back to the Injustice deal. And again, what he's going to try to do here is retroactively fix something that some people like, some people don't, but it's kind of like, that's done. Why do you have to go? You don't have to fix shit. Tell a new story, right? So in that, though, the interesting thing for me, being an Injustice fan, is that Jon shows up and there is the son that the Joker took away from him. And I think that it will be one of those like, oh my God, what have I done? Here's the son. He's looking at me with a stink eye, right? And he doesn't like what I've become. That's fine. But to go back and almost feels like, Jon Kent's going to go and, well, I think you should do this and this and that. I don't need that, because what it will end up doing is making me upset about the Injustice stuff, but it'll also make me not like Jon. I don't need Jon to go around the multiverse to clean up everybody's social issues. I really don't. And I just want him to go and do his thing and, maybe punch somebody once every 3 years. Some people deserve to be punched. Maybe an evil Superman, maybe an Ultraman. I don't know, but Tom Taylor goes on that soapbox of his and says he's not going to have him punch anybody. I don't know. Maybe that'll work out for him. I have no idea. But one person I saw, and I think they're right on, I saw him on Twitter, already saying Tom Taylor has a problem with, telling a progressive story. He tends to veer off ways. I'm looking at Nightwing and the whole Heartless deal, where Heartless has just been in the background murdering people while Dick Grayson is going around high-fiving the Titans and hanging out with, Haley and Babs. But in this, you have a 6-issue mini. You have a set amount of time. We're already talking about going through the multiverse with Val-Zod to take out Ultraman and somebody who is seemingly killing all the Supermen. Then you throw Injustice in. That might be too much for 6 issues. It really does feel like that is the case. But the way DC plays it, we'll probably get, another 6 issue. Jon versus Injustice. And then we'll go here, there, and everywhere. We'll see. That's a Beatles song. The next deal is going off to Marvel. One story, and then we'll get out of here. I don't want to make this too long for everybody, but Marvel celebrates Nick Fury's 60th anniversary with an oversized one-shot. Marvel is celebrating Nick Fury's 60th anniversary with new oversized one-shot Fury #1 with a writer Al Ewing and art Scott Eaton, or artists. That's plural. Scott Eaton, Tom Riley, Adam Kubert, M. Ramon Rosanes, and it's Fury #1. I usually have Fury at my #2 is what I have. Oh my. Releasing that's a dirty joke, isn't it? Releasing in May 2023, the story will begin by introducing a new villain named Scorpio. You know who had a villain named Scorpio? Kind of a villain. General Hospital. Oh my. Who begins targeting Fury's son, Nick Fury Jr. Each artist involved with Fury #1 will then illustrate a different time period in Fury's life and history, ranging from Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos to his present role as the Man on the Wall, where all the men show up. No stranger to radical character transformations. The one-shot will present a key turning point for the character, and in the end, both father and son will emerge with a fresh purpose, or maybe a fresh porpoise. I don't know. I don't write the stories. I just report on them, and that's what Marvel ended up saying. The purpose pot, not the porpoise. That was me. All right, but that's it. That's it for the news. I want to make this kind of bite-sized type deal. So, and anyway, I looked and there's not a ton of news. There isn't a lot of news. A lot of the news sites, as we like to call them, the shill news sites, they're kind of, I don't know, they're asleep at the wheel. They're not reporting things, and possibly they're just losing everything because, unfortunately, the comic industry is at a bit of a, crossroads here. And not a crossroads where you'll learn how to play guitar, right? Like a Ralph Macchio. It's a crossroads of we could either go up or down, and hopefully we go up, because that would be pretty cool. And people should end up, just search out the books that you like and go from there. Leave it to me to read the crap. I'll read all the bull crap and and I'll let you know how it is. Usually the bullcrap, though, it's pretty much bullcrap. But that is it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening, watching, all of that stuff. And I'm going to talk to you guys all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.